There have been long-standing clashes in Avdiivka. Although the clashes in the region slowed down with the arrival of the winter months, the Russians do not give up Avdiivka. Ukrainian forces continue to strengthen their defense blocks by reinforcing their troops in Avdiivka, which they have been defending for a long time. The Ukrainian army neutralizes a large number of Russian soldiers and equipment in the region. There were many clashes on the northern and southern flanks of Avdiivka. The Russian army was not successful in its operations both in the north and south. The Russians continued their operations in front of Stepove and near the chemical plant. When the Russians were not successful in their attacks on the chemical plant, they tried to understand how their attacks in this area would be successful. For this reason, it does not want to encircle Avdiivka, but to strengthen its position in the region before the next attack. After the Russians failed in their attacks with armored vehicles and large military units in the region and lost many soldiers and equipment, they understood that they would fail in the continuation of these attacks. Ukraine does not let the Russians pass within the area of action in the region. Since the Ukrainian army is deployed at critical firing points south of Avdiivka, it can easily prevent Russian attacks in the region. Many Russian soldiers lose their lives in the attacks. Ukrainian forces managed to advance by repelling the Russian attacks with successful operations and recaptured the positions occupied by the Russians. Russian attacks continued to gather for several days for a new attack after unsuccessful attacks. The Ukrainian army is deployed in positions in the wooded areas in the region, so the firepower in this region belongs to Ukraine. In the images published in the region, it was shown how the Ukrainian army hit the Russian bunkers in the open area in the middle of the fields. The Ukrainian army repels the Russians in this region by hitting the open areas in the region with artillery fire. Russian soldiers coming out of the bunkers are also exposed to Ukrainian artillery fire. Ukrainian fighters also reported that the Russians are accumulating forces not only along the line of contact, but also along all three lines. Recently published footage shows how Ukrainians hit Russian bunkers located in the middle of fields. The Ukrainians usually wait until a new group arrives in the area and then bombard the area with cluster bombs. This often forces the Russians to come out of their bunkers to help wounded personnel, exposing more soldiers to Ukrainian fire. After Russian forces continued to mass in the area, they launched a counterattack. Just in front of Krasnohorivka, Russian troops continued their offensive operation towards the Ukrainian defense blocks. The fighting in the area continued for a very long time. The Ukrainian army was conducting a successful defensive operation. However, the Russian troops were also very numerous. The Ukrainian soldiers ran out of ammunition as the fighting lasted too long. Two Ukrainian soldiers who ran out of ammunition decided to surrender. However, Russian troops executed the Ukrainian soldiers who surrendered unarmed and defenseless. The Russian army preferred to kill defenseless soldiers instead of taking them prisoner. Russia's strategies on the front line are indeed criticized by all war analysts. The Ukrainian army had already fought in the area for too long. The Russian troops were also very worn out. After the Russians executed unarmed Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian troops organized an offensive operation against Russian positions and destroyed them all. The head of the Avdiivka military administration of Ukraine, Vitaly Barabash, announced that the counterattack of the Ukrainian army was successful and all Russian troops were neutralized. The Russians failed again in the region. However, they preferred to kill defenseless Ukrainian soldiers instead of taking them prisoner. After this incident, Ukrainian troops organized a revenge operation and killed all the Russian troops. The Russian army continues to lose many soldiers every day, especially after the large-scale operations launched in the Avdiivka region. The number of soldiers and equipment lost doubled. The Russian army lost exactly 770 soldiers on the front line the other day. The Russian army, which has lost more than 1,000 soldiers some days, continues to be exhausted. While the Ukrainian army continues to strengthen the defense blocks in and around Stepove, it also continues its counterattack operations. The Ukrainian army, which launched a counterattack operation south of Stepove, destroyed a Russian attack unit detected in the region. The Ukrainian army continues to organize coordinated operations to destroy the Russian invaders it detected by increasing the number of reconnaissance operations in the region. Almost all of the Russian troops concentrated in the wooded area in the Stepove region were neutralized. The killing of a large number of Russian soldiers in the wooded area proves the power of the Ukrainian army in this region. The main reason why the Russian army lost a large number of soldiers in the region and could not overcome the Ukrainian defense blocks is the lack of coordination. The Russians continue their attacks in the region in a very careless manner. Since the Russian army could not advance in the region, it wanted to carry out operations to strengthen and improve its tactical positions. But these operations caused Russia to lose a large number of soldiers. The Russians carry out numerous offensive operations in the region every day, but this does not mean that Russia has taken control of the region. Although the intensity of counterattack operations continues to increase, they cannot break through the defense wall formed by the Ukrainian army. And they are losing many soldiers and equipment in the region. The strategies developed by the Russian military are not working, and they continue to fail in Avdiivka. Alexander Stupon, spokesman for the Unified Press Center of the Defense Forces of the Tavria region, gave some information about the war crimes committed by Russia. The armed forces of Ukraine confirmed information about the elimination of Russian occupiers who shot Ukrainian military personnel in the Avdiivka direction. A criminal case has also been initiated regarding this crime, according to the spokesperson of the Unified Press Center of the Defense Forces of the Tavria direction, Alexander Stupon, on a telethon. Yes, this fact has been recorded by relevant services. A criminal case has been initiated, and the investigation is ongoing. The corresponding materials will be handed over to international institutions dealing with war crimes. I can also confirm that during further military actions, the group of Russian occupiers who committed this crime ceased to exist, Stupon stated. Human Rights Ombudsman Dmytro Lubinets said he would appeal to the Red Cross and the UN. The Strategic Communications Department of the Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed that Russian terrorists shot 2 Ukrainian unarmed defenders. The Prosecutor General's office initiated an investigation into the shooting of 2 Ukrainian military personnel by Russian occupiers in the Donetsk region. The tragedy occurred in the village of Stepove in the Pokrovsk district of the Donetsk region. Yesterday, the head of the Avdiivka city military administration, Vitaly Barabash, reported that the Russian occupiers who executed 2 Ukrainian military personnel have been eliminated. Although the Ukrainian army responded to the Russian soldiers after the attack and completely destroyed their positions, it seems that there will be new developments regarding this situation. In fact, this situation shows us that the psychology of Russian soldiers is not in good condition. The negative and behaviors of Russian soldiers on the front line are quite challenging for Russia. What do you think about the developments?